The first speaker is Professor Margaret Chitiga Mabubu from the University of Pretoria. And Professor Chitiga Mabubu was trained as an economist and now is the Dean of the Economic and Management Sciences at University of Pretoria. And so she will talk about the perspective of Africa-Japan joint education on public policy. So, Margaret, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here once again and talking about something that is really very close to my heart. And firstly, let me just acknowledge the various partners, Prof. Kawaguchi, and your thought leadership in terms of what I will present today. Thank you to Prof. Swanapu. Prof. Nagoa, is he here? Yes, he's here. And all the partners who were involved in this application and then obtaining the funding. This funding is essentially what I'm presenting is about a 2-year, 1.5-year funding to start off a process of collaboration between ourselves at the University of Pretoria, Future Africa Economic and Management Sciences faculty, and GRASP. So it's really great to be here, and it's a privilege. Okay, so earlier it was mentioned that we sometimes think of ourselves as having quite different problems between Africa and Asia. And here I'm saying we also have quite similar problems and challenges within Asia and Africa. So for example, the issue of urbanization, some issues of inequality, and I'm bringing Asia very broadly here, and then climate vulnerability are some of the issues that we grapple with on the policy level, on the welfare side in both countries. So policy relevant research among our institutions in terms of comparing best practices is something that we can certainly encourage, and this is what we will talk about here. The relationship that's going to happen now in the next 1.5 years or so is to link institutions. So for example, specifically to link the University of Pretoria's Economic and Management Sciences faculty, the Future Africa, as well as the Graduate School of Public Policy here at the University of Tokyo. This partnership will enable particular researchers and individuals and groups to start getting to know each other. Someone mentioned the issue of trust. Trust is built in this way that you meet with each other, you talk to each other, you compare, and you agree. And eventually, we're thinking that in the long term, we can build stronger partnerships between our institutions. And so here I just bring out possible areas that are available for us to talk about, for us to connect different researchers, both within the EMS and Future Africa, issues to do with fiscal governance, tax policies on both sides, international taxation on both sides, just energy transitions, environmental economics on both sides, issues to do with development and labor markets on both sides. This is an issue that we've been talking more about in the morning. Innovation, governance, and institutions, Africa-Asia trade, international trade policy, among others. And these are areas where you would find also immersed within different centers, different hubs, different institutions that are almost coincidental between ourselves and GRASP. So it is a true pleasure that we can immediately find areas of commonality. I will not read all these, but simply to show you that we have the same thinking because the challenges are pretty much also the same as I said at the beginning. So our particular thinking, and again I want to thank Prof. Daiji for his thought leadership in this case, is to start with the few resources that we have to bring people to each other. The idea is that South African researchers would come here to Tokyo to collaborate with like-minded individuals in a seminar, in a webinar, co-teaching, co-supervision, you name it. The same happens that Japanese University of Pretoria, University of Tokyo, GRASP colleagues come to South Africa, collaborate with the University of Pretoria and many other universities, by the way. I said in the Vice Chancellor's speech that we are a gateway to other universities because of our location in the University of Pretoria. So we will use that to bring others within areas of interest to collaborate with each other. So once we do that for perhaps 1.5 years, connecting specific individuals, specific groups, specific chairs, specific units to each other, we think that in the long run, it would be much easier for them to now work together for a longer term funding, collaborate, write proposals together, and bring out much more research, much more teaching, etc., amongst these different groups. And I think this is really the best way that you can get to know each other, that you can get to trust each other among colleagues. We think that by 2027, we will assemble once again somewhere, whether here or in Pretoria, to bring all these teams together and talk about policy, talk about lessons learned, and talk about the future, the longer run after this short collaboration with each other. This particular model is very exciting because it's kind of a bottom-up model. It's not a model where someone brings you funding in your institution and tells you to collaborate. It is collaborators themselves coming to each other and comparing their research areas, their research interests, and deciding to collaborate with each other. And therefore, it is very exciting. It is most likely going to be more fruitful. It enables cross-regional insights on public policy through comparative research. Again, the idea is to eventually also go into the African continent. I'll show some of our partners so that we work together as a region, while here in Japan, we also work together as a region, in Asia. So as I mentioned already, that this kind of partnership will enable longer-term thinking, longer-term planning, and longer-term collaborations. Here are just a few of the partners that we are working with at the University of Pretoria. I don't mention all of them. Actually, I would say not University of Pretoria, just simply in the EMS, Economic and Management Sciences, there are many more in the university. But in terms of policy, PASGE, African Economic Research Consortium, various universities, IDRC, and others who are also funders interested to understand the issue of policy, public policy, particularly how we compare public policies, how we we eventually lead to households, to individuals to live better lives. That's really the end of what we're actually looking for. So in fact, I would say together we can equip leaders to turn shared challenges into shared opportunities and prosperity, one step at a time. And that's what we are doing here. As I say, this is extremely exciting. It's really, truly an honor for us at the University of Pretoria to be partnering with the University of Tokyo. Thank you very much.
People's working life extended, the education for the current education for those who already work in the workplace becomes more important. And then, within this initiative, we are planning to develop the joint program to educate those who are already in the labor market. And on that topic, we'd like to invite Professor Naomi Aoki. She's a professor at GRASP, and she's trained as a public administration scholar. And she's now in charge of developing the joint executive education program with University of Witwatersrand. So Professor Aoki, floor is yours.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited to share news about an emerging partnership between two public policy schools. The Wit School of Governance at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa, and my school, the Graduate School of Public Policy, University of Tokyo in Japan. So this partnership is about co-creating executive education programs, non-degree, practice-oriented, and tailored programs for business and government leaders. And these will be aimed at empowering leaders to drive positive transformation in their countries and beyond. And it all began in May this year, as you see in this photo, when Professor Kawaguchi and Professor Nagao and Dr. Takei and I visited the Witt School of Governance to explore opportunities for collaboration. And I remember the warm welcome we received by Professor Maseko and others, and a very brief but memorable conversation with Mr. Hopone, Acting Executive Education Director at Witt School of Governance, who said, we remember that we said, okay, let's do something together. And it's been remarkable that to see how that simple moment has grown into a shared sense of purpose over just 2 or 3 months, despite our physical distance between Japan and South Africa. And this progress has been possible thanks to the dedication of the staff at the Witt School of Governance, who made time for e-meetings and also who generously shared their expertise in developing and implementing our executive education program. So thank you very much. Now I'd like to report on the progress and plans, and I have to say that these plans are still tentative, but I hope that I can give you a good idea of what we are trying to achieve together. So basically, we are developing 2 executive education programs. One will take place in South Africa, so it's called the South Africa program on the slide. And the other program is going to take place mainly in Japan, so Japan program here. And the South Africa program is targeted at mid-career managers from Japanese firms operating or planning to operate in Africa. And this program is designed to help them enhance their strategic understanding of African markets, political risks, and policy environments, and to build responsible business models by integrating diversity, equity, and inclusion, and environmental, social, and governance principles into their business strategies. And also, the program is designed to help participants to expand networks with African policymakers, industry leaders, and peers in other Japanese firms, and learn how to engage with African policymakers and governments effectively, especially in the context of public-private partnerships. And for this program, the Witt School is going to be the main convener, and then what GRASP is doing. So GRASP has been providing input on content development based on the needs of Japanese firms. And once the program is finalized, GRASP will help with recruiting participants with support from JETRO, Japan External Trade Organization, and also Japanese business associations. So this is the South Africa program, and what's up with the Japanese program? So the participants in this Japan program will be municipal government officials in South Africa with the commitment and capacity to drive change in the communities in South Africa. It's a 5 days plus program because it involves an immersive 5-day trip to Japan, but there will be some sessions before and after in South Africa. And this program is designed to help municipal government officials in South Africa to enhance their leadership capacity required to implement local economic development effectively and efficiently in South Africa, and to deepen their understanding of Japan's policy and governance innovations and arrive at transferable insights for local development that they may be able to use in South Africa. So in this program, GRASP is going to be the main convener, but GRASP has been designing the curriculum in consultation with the Witt School of Governance. And once the program becomes open for registration, then the Witt School of Governance will help mobilize demand and recruit participants in cooperation with the South African Local Government Association. So in a nutshell, so in just a few months, we have been talking and trying to work on designing this program, and we organically came up with this kind of a partnership model. So School A convenes the program, and its faculty present the lectures, and we, School A and B, co-design the program content, and in doing so, School A offers input on the content. It can provide, given its faculty's areas of expertise. And School B collects and shares information about the needs and interests of local clients. So this is how we co-design the program content. And in addition, School B mobilizes demand and recruits participants using local networks. And this kind of model applies to both programs so far. And here is an overview of the South Africa program we've come up with under this partnership model. And in such a short presentation time as this, instead of explaining every single detail on the slide, I want to share 3 outstanding features of this program. Number 1, engaging lectures by distinguished with school faculty. And 2, plenty of time for discussion and group work. And number 3, invaluable networking opportunities with key stakeholders in Africa and also among peers from Japanese firms. And so this is the overview of the South Africa program, and this is an overview of Japan program. So Japan program, again, plans are still tentative, but here is what we are thinking about. We are considering offering unique opportunities to explore Japan's policy and governance innovations in key areas such as business promotion, employment, health, transportation, and security and social welfare, and urban disaster management. We plan to combine lectures at the University of Tokyo and site visit in Tokyo and an excursion to a region outside the city of Tokyo. And we are currently thinking the Hamamatsu city and the neighboring area. And we can take a bullet train to go there. So by the end of the program, we project that participants will have acquired insights that will help them promote the local development back home. So in the coming months, we will work together with school and GRASP. We'll work together to finalize these programs and move forward their successful implementations. And we believe that these 2 programs are just a beginning of our journey together, and we are excited about the differences we can make together on the ground. And of course, before I conclude, of course, we cannot turn this vision into reality without participants. So before I close my talk, I'd like to extend this invitation. So if anyone in this room is interested in participating in these executive education programs, maybe yes, or maybe not, and would like to receive an email notification when registration opens. And also we would be grateful to hear from you about your ideas, needs, and priorities for other executive education programs we may be able to develop for you in the future. So thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to hearing from some of you. Thank you.
As a third speaker, we invited Professor Temba Maseko. Professor Maseko has a long career in the public administration, including the experience of being Director General of Government Communication and Information System. And now he is appointed as head of the Wood School of Governance, which is located at Johannesburg of South Africa. And he is going to talk about the perspective on Africa-Japan joint education and public policy and executive education.
Thank you for inviting us to the university. And thank you for coming to this symposium on a Saturday morning, by the way. In my presentation, I'll be briefly introducing the school, the Wits School of Governance, but answering 3 key questions. Why collaborate? Who are the key players who should collaborate? What success looks like in a collaboration. The Wits School of Governance is part of University of the Witwatersrand. It was established in 1993 by the late and former President Nelson Mandela, who said we needed a school to produce public servants of the future who are ethical, dedicated to public service, who are willing and able to introduce innovation into the public service, and who see public service as a vehicle for change. He made this statement because he realized that there are many people who join public service because they want to steal money from the public. So he says the new generation of public service must actually join public service with the sole purpose of using the service as a vehicle for change. We're a postgraduate school which offers academic and executive education programs, but most importantly, as Dr. Fuji indicated, we also convene platforms to discuss key policy challenges facing the country and the continent. And our mission is simply put, to enhance the capacity of the state in Africa. As we heard earlier on, there are many challenges facing especially young people in the continent. And we think that leadership and governance are the key components that are lacking, that are leading to so much discontent in the continent. So the need for strong, capable leaders in the public service is absolutely vital. But why should public schools collaborate? Well, the challenges facing the continent and the global south in its totality are vast, as you all know. These include poverty, hunger, problems in the political space, which is leading to guns coming out of the streets in a few countries in the continent where there's more wars emerging, but also to address the skills deficit that exists in the continent and the global south. And our view as a school is that the problems facing the continent and the global south are so vast that no single institution can solve those challenges alone. So that is why collaboration is absolutely vital. This collaboration should be meant to enhance the capacity of the state, but also multilateral institutions that have been set up because, as I said earlier, the need for proper and strong governance systems, policies, and capacity is absolutely vital to addressing the challenges facing the continent so that these institutions can achieve the SDG goals to end poverty, inequality, and address challenges of sustainability. But who are the key players in this regard? We think that public policy schools play a vital role in making sure that governance systems and structures are put in place, but that policies, the correct policies, are designed and implemented to meet the challenges of the continent. So public policy schools play a vital role, but we think that policymakers also are key players in that context, and that is why in our policy dialogues, in our classrooms, we have policymakers participating as students, but also as experts. Academics can play or do play a vital role in providing the kind of expertise required, conducting the research, but they do so not in their locked offices, but they do so in consultation, in conversation with communities, with young people, with students, and also donors, because ultimately we believe that solutions come from all of these stakeholders. What does success look like? If we are collaborating as public policy schools in Japan and South Africa, what should success look like? In our view, the most important thing is that we require commitment and a shared vision by the universities that are collaborating. And again, let me emphasize the point. When we're talking collaboration, we're not just talking collaboration between universities in Japan and South Africa or the continent, but we also need to see a greater level of collaboration between institutions and universities within the continent itself so that we can actually increase impact of the programs that we're talking about. And those projects we're talking about joint research projects to produce evidence-based solutions, and that is vital. And that will include, as outcomes of those collaborations or joint projects, is that we need to start seeing joint publications emanating from students and academics from universities in Japan and universities in the continent. But I emphasize the need for case studies to be written by practitioners, by academics, by researchers, and students in our universities, so that we can actually begin to learn from each other using case studies. And the executive program that we're discussing with GRASP now, we believe is going to give us a wonderful opportunity to start writing case studies about how we can introduce and implement local economic development programs. We're also talking about the need for joint senior certificated programs, because when you're bringing ministers, you're bringing directors generals and senior policymakers in institutions, many of them will see value if at the end of a training program, they can be able to say, I attended this program which was run jointly by the Wits School of Governance, by GRASP, by University of Pretoria, so that they can go out there with confidence to say they were actually taught and educated by the best universities in the two countries. We're also talking about the need for joint dialogues, and I'm sure our colleagues from UP will be excited to see that, in fact, there's a bit of alignment in what we're talking about. The need for dialogues, policy dialogues, seminars addressed by academics and experts from Japan, but also from South Africa, so that there can be joint learning from the two countries. But importantly, we need to see, as my colleague just said, the need for student, academic, and policy makers exchanges, where people from Japan or academics from Japan can come to the African continent and engage with our academics and students, but students and policymakers from the continent can also come to Japan to interact with yourself and actually talk practical solutions about the challenges, what we would like to see. And we thought we should just share with you an example of a collaboration that we did as a school with the University of Cambridge Institute for Sustainability Leadership, which was a joint executive program, which was delivered for senior corporate affairs or public policy officials from corporates in South Africa and Kenya, by the way. So we are able to get students or senior managers from the private sector to come to a program which was offered on exactly the same basis as the Wits School of Governance in Cambridge. So students came to South Africa for a week's program, and then our students from South Africa, senior managers, went to Cambridge to do the program in Cambridge there. So, and that's how we think that, in fact, these programs could actually make the lasting impact. So with these few words, thank you very much for the opportunity, and thanking you for inviting us to Japan on such a wonderful weather. Thank you very much.